Hello, I'm David Somerville, the minister at Holcombe Methodist Church. This is the first of our Lent reflections when we will be looking at journeys, our own and Jesus as he headed to the cross. Today we're looking at setting out. Our first passage is Genesis 12, verses 1 to 9, where God calls Abram to set out. You may want to pause the video as you read the passage. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." Abram, as he was then, had travelled with his father from Ur, near the tip of the Persian Gulf, northwest towards Haran, where his father had settled. They'd set out to travel to Canaan, but only got so far. Pete Greig, in his book Dirty Glory, tells of the Wild West pioneers setting out from the township of Independence, heading south and west towards Santa Fe. About 20 miles out was Blue Camp 20. Blue because it was by the River Blue, Camp because it was supposed to be temporary, and 20 because it was 20 miles from where they'd started. Many didn't get further than Blue Camp 20 and settled there, forgetting the ultimate goal of Santa Fe. Tehran had settled in Haran. The journey was not complete. God instructed Abram to set out from Haran and complete the journey, to leave his father's willingness to settle down before the journey was complete, to shake off the ennui or sense of compromise, and to set out and complete the journey. There was a sense in which Abram was leaving behind Tehran and his family, taking with him his nephew Lot and his household. Perhaps the first reason for setting out on a journey is to leave behind the past. We set out to escape from our current situation. I wonder if there was tension in the air. Did Tehran carry an air of frustration at not having the energy or the willpower to complete the journey? Was Tehran too much like Blue Camp 20, a temporary makeshift dwelling that had become too permanent? If we're told that we are citizens of heaven, not of earth, have we settled too quickly to be ready to let go? Was Abram's journey to leave behind his past, or was it to discover his future? In one sense, we're looking back at what was, seeing it receding further and further away? Or are we looking forward with anticipation for what is to come? As we travel, we hit a no man's land where we have lost the certainty of where it was that we started, but we've not yet gained the certainty of arriving where we're going. It's a bit like walking on a tightrope between two platforms, having left the stability of one platform and not yet arriving at the stability of the other end. How easy it is to stay on the starting platform and never venture forth. We're on a journey of faith. We journey on the promise that in my Father's house there are many mansions, and I go to prepare a place for you. Jesus' familiar words in John 14. But is that prospect too hazy for us to look forward to? Are we journeying from our past, perhaps a time when we didn't know Jesus, a time of pain or a time of unfulfilled ambition? And do we journey looking backwards to what was, confused about the future, but journeying nonetheless? Are travelling with hope, looking forward to what is to be? Is the journey life itself, with no clear idea or no clear form? Or perhaps we've settled down prematurely and the journey has come to an end before it really got started. These are some musings on setting out on a journey. Are you the kind of person who has researched every part of the journey and knows in advance where each stop will be and what will be needed? Are you like me, coming from the west of Scotland, where in midsummer you pack everything from snowshoes to sun cream, waterproofs and thick jumpers to t-shirts and shorts? Or do you live each day as it comes and hope for the best? Here are some questions for you to consider. Firstly, how would you describe your journey of faith? Secondly, what are you travelling from and what are you travelling towards? Thirdly, looking back, are there times when you've settled in Blue Camp 20 or its equivalent? What caused you to move on, or are you still there? Where is God in your journey of faith? And what is He calling you to do? Fifthly, who are your travelling companions? And finally, how prepared are you for the journey ahead? You may want to pause the video as you look at these questions, and we'll come back and look at the next passage after that. Welcome back. We're now going to look at the cost of the journey, viewed through Luke chapter 9, verses 51 to 62. Again, why not pause the video as you read the passage? Welcome back. As the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. Jesus is not looking backwards, he's looking forwards. I wonder if we had been writing this account, if we would have started the sentence in the same way. My approach would have been, as the time approached for him to be crucified. Not a good prospect. Instead, Jesus looks beyond that to being taken up to glory. Crucifixion is just part of the journey, not the end. Luke talks about Jesus setting out resolutely. Other translations use the word steadfastly. In Isaiah 50 verse 7, predicting Jesus' journey to Jerusalem, Isaiah talks of the Messiah setting his face like flint, determined to see the journey through. This was to be no walk in the park. The first hurdle was that Jesus had to pass through Samaria, the northern part of Israel for whom Jerusalem represented the enemy. Jesus started out planning his journey. There's a village there, a day's walk from here. Let's go and make arrangements. Only to find the welcome mat had been pulled from under his feet and the door slammed in his face. The disciples are all for calling down fire on the Samaritans, for refusing to provide aid, yet Jesus will have none of it. Then he and his disciples went to another village. I love the meekness that the eternal Word of God showed when mere humans refused him entry. This was not to be an easy journey. There must have been times when the prospect of being abandoned by his friends, betrayed by one of them, being flogged and crucified were just too much to bear. Despite this, he set his face towards Jerusalem. I wonder if his countenance changed, if the easy banter between him and his disciples died in the chill of what was ahead of him. Recently, a lady from London celebrated her 35th birthday by travelling from London to Edinburgh using only local buses at £2 per journey. It would take 3 days. There are more efficient and probably cheaper ways of travelling from London to Edinburgh, but for her, the focus was on the journey itself, not the destination. Perhaps we need to look at what the journey itself will be like. 3 times prospective followers fail to get off the starting blocks. Are you willing to follow someone who has nowhere to lay his head? Let me first bury my father. Let me say goodbye to those I leave behind. They're not unreasonable requests, but they've found Jesus in resolute mood, and nothing less will be accepted. Let me first bury my father. He's still quite healthy, so it may take some time. Let me go and say farewell to my family. If you were serious, you'd have done that already. As we set out on a journey, there may well be a cost. Irrespective of the anticipation of arriving at our destination, there may well be aspects of the journey that will be painful and difficult. If we're to reach our destination, we may have to go through such trials. John Bunyan in Pilgrim's Progress referred to the Slough of Despond. In Lord of the Rings, Frodo and Sam, guided by Smeagol, have to traverse the dead marshes. In our journey, will we have to climb the hill of opposition or plough through the marshes of indifference and apathy? Perhaps as we set out, we need to set our face like flint and head resolutely and steadfastly towards the destination of our journey. Here are some questions to consider. As you set out on your journey of faith, what do you perceive to be your destination? What's your hope that drives you on? Looking back on your journey so far, what do you wish you knew when you set out? Would it have made a difference to how you approached your journey? What will be your strategy for facing the hills of opposition and the marshes of indifference on your journey? Who and what will support you on your journey? How can you support others on theirs? I hope you enjoy these questions, and I hope that you will be blessed as we continue this series through Lent. Thank you for listening.